It was an art critic who inspired the subject matter of Impressionism. In a 19th century essay, Baudelaire had seen as one of the prime functions of a living art the painting of modern life. He promoted among a group of independent artists a concern for ordinary people and a preference for the images of everyday life as their subject matter. They were artists of the expanding middle class for the most part, painting their own lifestyle as a conscious, although unstated, policy. The city of Paris and the French countryside came to dominate their imagery, as did scenes drawn from their daily life and leisure activities. Their paintings were peopled with bathers at the seashore and at home, women relaxing, passing time, ballet dancers, and shop girls, portraits of family and friends, street scenes, landscapes, and seascapes. Everyday images, however, were not considered appropriate subjects by the powerful French art establishment or of the salon exhibitions it sponsored. The École des Beaux-Arts, the government school, urged artists to create large history, religious, and literature paintings, or romantic images of the Orient. This is what was approved. This is what was touted by mainstream art critics, and this is what the buying public bought. So it was in distinctly unapproved fashion that, as growing numbers of independent artists began to explore new subjects, they also made radical changes in painting technique and style. Some began to take canvases and paint out of doors, setting up their easels wherever they saw an image or view that interested them. It was called plein air, or open-air painting. Although an earlier generation of painters from the Barbizon school were dedicated to painting their natural out-of-doors experiences, those experiences, in fact, had been recalled and executed in the studio. A painter named Eugène Boudin was the first to actually paint outside, depicting seaside scenes in Le Havre on the west coast of France. As early as 1864, Boudin encouraged a promising young artist to paint directly from nature, just as he saw it at the moment. Boudin advised the retaining of one's first impression, which is the good one. After the young painter tried working plein air, he said, "It was as if a veil had suddenly been lifted from my eyes. I grasped what painting was capable of." His name was Claude Monet. To create the luminous images they saw in the full light of midday or under shadowless overcast skies, Monet and other Impressionist painters usually worked from a light-colored surface on their canvases, rather than the dark brown or red ground used by some of the old masters. Over this light-colored base, they painted with opaque colors, usually with short, quick brush strokes, abandoning obvious contours and the outlining of shapes. Many Impressionist painters, including Monet, often mixed the ready-made paints they purchased with lead white to further enhance the luminosity of their canvases. Along with traditional colors derived from organic and mineral materials, Impressionists also included in their work several new, purer synthetic colors, which were now manufactured widely and ready to use. The Impressionist revolution even extended to the way in which paint was applied to the canvas. Where traditional painters of the day carefully mixed colors on the palette before painting, these independent artists applied their colors unmixed. This new technique was called broken color, and it grew directly from advances in the science of optics. Based on the knowledge that the eye optically blends colors, and that colors painted next to one another affect each other, artists experimented to achieve the desired color intensity. The Impressionists kept colors separate and yet dynamically allowed them to combine in the eye of the viewer to create a shimmering effect of light on surface. The artists we now call Impressionists, and their later post-Impressionist followers, were not a unified, organized movement practicing a similar style. In fact, they were an independent and loosely connected group of highly creative artists who experimented with a wide variety of media, styles, and techniques. Some, like Manet, Degas, and Renoir, were more traditional in their methods and appearance. Manet, for example, didn't paint out of doors until 1870. And Degas, not at all. Others, like Monet, Pissarro, and Sisley, actively pursued new techniques and created the look we now think of as Impressionism. Paintings alive with the quivering effects of light. And still others, artists such as Seurat, Gauguin, Van Gogh, and Cézanne, whom we call post-Impressionists, pushed the realm of possibility even further, using Impressionist innovations only as a starting place. Yet for all the acclaim associated with the term Impressionist today, the name is not one the artists chose for themselves. The first exhibition of works in this style opened in the spring of 1874, funded by the artists involved and held in a vacated studio. It was called the premier exposition of the Incorporated Society of Artists, Painters, Sculptors, Engravers, etc. While the show included the work of 29 artists, one of the paintings in the exhibition was Monet's Impression, Soleil Levant, or Impression, Sunrise. 10 days after the exhibition opened, a hostile review by a prominent art critic was published under the headline, Exhibition of the Impressionists. The name hit its mark and stuck, because in 1877, the group itself called its third major show the Exhibition of Impressionists. Most critics and many artists believed that this new movement would quickly disappear. A contemporary English painter, for example, expressed his belief that this craze will pass away as everything foolish and false does sooner or later. But the naysayers were wrong. Today, Impressionism is more popular than any other art. The works transcend time, place, and culture with a magnetic power that no other painting style has yet been able to achieve. The same exuberant, light-filled images that fascinated those first audiences are as luminous, as alive, and as appealing now as they were more than a century ago.